Hey everybody, welcome to Wednesday Reflection. Um, anyway, excited about that. Um, so if you are looking at the banner for this talk, it's do I really need to go back outside? This is something that I've been thinking about recently and kind of reflecting upon uh, lessons I'm learning, lessons I have learned and continuing to learn about the pandemic and how I'm responding to it. Um, I guess to kind of at least organize my thoughts a little bit and help explain what I'm talking about. Um, I want to say that I know this is difficult, even still, for everyone. We've been living in this situation for, you know, more than a year and a half, and every month or so there seems to either be new challenges or old challenges coming back around that we thought we had already gotten past. The old is made new, all that kind of stuff. And so, as I'm talking about lessons that I've learned, if it seems like I'm griping, I am, but also that's not to. My griping does not mean that y'all haven't experienced the same. It's not pie. It's not like if I get a piece, that means you don't get a piece. This is, in fact, if anything, I think hopefully some of the things that I've experienced and learned will resonate with you, or maybe the exact opposite of your experience, but that in and of itself teaches you about what you've taken away from this time, this shared experience that we've all been going through. In fact, somebody shared a cartoon at one point, and it was a really good point. It was a really good message. There were it was a cartoon of the ocean and two groups of people in two different boats, and it basically was explaining that it's not really accurate to say, hey, we're all in the same boat here. No, we're in different boats as different types of people, but we're all riding the same waves. We're all in the same storm, or out upon the same sea. And so my experience will be different from your experience, most likely, or we'll share traits but won't line up perfectly, and that's fine. So all that to say is that I've been thinking a lot about engaging with people. As the new everything seems to come out of a sci-fi reference with me, but honestly, as I was getting excited about this latest Dune movie that has come out, it's a big, sweeping, beautiful masterpiece that you should go see in theaters. If you can go see it in an IMAX, even better. That's the kind of storytelling that is meant to be done and consumed really in the best theater possible. So an IMAX would be great, but certainly an actual theater with its great sound and beautiful big canvas to project the film upon. It's meant to be seen in a theater. But I saw it on my TV at home. And I think a lot of it has to do with my lingering anxiety to go see a movie in a theater. And as a bit of a background, I'm a total cinephile that loves going to see movies, especially when I was single. I would go see pretty much any movie that I even had a passing interest in seeing. I would go see it in the theater. If I was on if I had to go on a trip by myself and I was in Columbus, Ohio for a week, I would take myself alone to a movie theater, and it was great. I like doing it. And Emily makes fun of me for going to movies by myself. I love going to movies by myself. I love going to movies with friends, but also I have absolutely no problem going into a theater by myself. Um, I like it. I'm actually really there for the movie going experience, not necessarily uh, the shared experience with my friends, which actually is a good part of what I'm going to talk about today. As I was debating seeing the movie Dune, I really miss the theater going experience, but I don't miss it enough to just sit home and enjoy it on HBO. Um, and I hate that because I think that good movies should be seen in theater. That's how they were meant to be seen, and it's worth the price of admission. Um, and yet, I really kind of don't want to engage with people, it seems. And that surprises me because I have always considered myself an extrovert. All my life, I was told I was how extroverted I was, and I definitely did gain a lot of energy from people. I like being up in front of people. I like teaching. I like preaching and leading services. I like public speaking. I like all those things. But in a way, those are, I loved acting when I was in college on the stage. And so, even so, that is still a very individual act. Even when you're acting with people on a stage, that production of that show becomes very much a small group family for a while, and so you feel very connected with all those people, whether that's really positive or so and so has been bugging you and getting on your nerves the entire time. Very much like families do, you have those small group dynamics, and so I lived for those theater productions and having that family with the cast and the crew and the people that you were seeing do all this stuff and put in all this hard work and energy and excitement, and it was great. I loved it. Um, and yet, here I am spending lots of time by myself. And that's both personal time and business time. I mean, someone just walked in the door over here at the church, but especially for the first, year of the pandemic, really, Emily Rossi would come over from the attic to do some bookkeeping in the church office over here once a week, maybe twice a week. But really, aside from that, I would be in the church offices for the entire week in this room completely by myself. And so, and I got really accustomed to that. And it made me think back about why I like being by myself. Even still now, in my personal time, after Emily goes to bed and we've already put Waverly down, I'll stay up later than I probably should watching TV. And I think it has to do with I like watching the shows I want to watch, and just having that time that is definitely mine. And yeah, and so I've been reevaluating. Am I extroverted, or am I an introverted? Am I an introverted extrovert, or am I an extroverted introvert? And I think probably I'm not as extroverted as I thought I was. I'm probably just an extroverted introvert. And so I started doing some research on it. When we were thinking about, or when I was starting to look up, why, especially post-pandemic, it would be difficult for me to want to engage, or why am I feeling this reluctance to go be around people. And keep in mind, this is not when I say reluctance being around people, I'm not talking about fear of catching the virus or transmitting disease. I mean, I still have those fears, um, and I still use precaution and wear my mask in public, even though I'm vaccinated. Um, I'm just very conscious of the other people I come in contact with who may be vulnerable, or in the case of my daughter, aren't vaccinated yet. I, by the way, can't wait for the day when in January we can get her vaccinated. Anyway, and if you are not vaccinated, go do it. Yeah, really, just go do it. I mean, seriously, just go do it. All right. Um, what I think I like about spending time alone, as opposed to going to uh, social gatherings, you know, going out with people to meet up at a restaurant or something like that, is that in those social interactions there is an element of compromise, to where, you know, maybe the small talk isn't really your thing, or you're just tired of doing it. Maybe you do a lot of social interaction throughout your workday or your school day, and when it comes time to being off the clock, as it were, you know, you want to have that control of your time. And I think that's a lot of what my experience is that there's an element of compromise, and also for as much as I love being around people, and I really do feed off the energy of others, and it really makes me, it propels me forward in a great positive way. My time is nice, and I want it to be exactly my time and exactly what I want to do, and I don't want to compromise on that. And so that means staying up late to watch my TV shows by myself, after I've spent, you know, the evening with my family. And I love my family, but also I like my own personal time. And then the I would be it would not be incorrect for someone to say Andrew has a strong sense of his own, I guess, opinions and intellect and things. You know, if anything, I do get a little. I'm a little proud peacock as far as, you know, like what I have chosen to do, because usually the media that I consume, or the projects that I take on, or the way in which I do something is usually the product of lots of research and choice and background preparation, so that when I am finally going about a new way to, you know, cook a brisket, or a new way to come up with a, you know, bulletin for church, or a new way to do X, Y, or Z, I've usually already thought it out pretty well. And so, you know, I do tend to, you know, think I usually tend to think that I always spend my own time fairly well, because I'm smart enough to have figured it out ahead of time. And that is totally some cockiness coming out in me, and I'm totally guilty of that. And it's because I don't want to compromise. And when you are in relationship with people, socially or romantically, or what have you, you are always compromising. And, you know, that's part of being human and in society. But also, even still, in today's world, silence is a rare thing. And so you know, when I say silence is a rare thing, you know, I kind of expand that to be just time to your own thoughts. Most of my own thinking is done in the car, and I've got time throughout the week where I'm driving around a lot, and so it's very healthy for me to just turn off the radio or the audiobook. I'm usually an audiobook person, and just sit in my own thoughts. Part of introverts apparently, as I've been reading, can be usually pretty deep thinkers, and they want to sit and contemplate upon things. And so it's much easier to do that deep thinking when you are not distracted by social interaction. And so, as busy as our worlds are, I think silence is a rare thing, and that being able to spend that time in solitude to contemplate, to think, to, in my case, come up with, next week's sermon, requires solitude. And also, I do think I'm pretty emotionally independent. I think that I process my emotions pretty well, all by myself. And I know that others need that connection with other people to, talk through their stuff, or to get ideas, to bounce ideas off of. You need a sounding board. You need to know that someone is listening to so that you can express yourself. I never was that person, in college that called their parent every day to check in, or their sibling every day to check in. That just was not ever a need on my radar. I called my family, but not like every day to like check in, see how are you doing, let me tell you about my day. And so, my power's being weird. Hold on a second, everybody. All right, let's try that. Did my microphone cut out? Microphone. Oh no, my microphone's not working either. Is that working? Microphone? You there, microphone? Okay. Anyway. All this to say is that the pandemic has given me good reason to not my microphone is not working. My fancy microphone isn't working. Hold on a second. Here we go. Is that going to work? Pardon me, technical difficulties. There we go. Okay, so I guess what I've realized is that the pandemic has given me good reason to avoid going out and doing things. And so instead of going out to restaurants and sitting down, getting to-go orders is just great. Making it really easy to not invite people over, or making it really easy for me to not invite myself over to someone's house, is a real boon to the pandemic. And so, anyway, I'm finding all those things very, very tempting. And so realizing that about myself makes me appreciate how I balance my energies, both personal and professional. And that I also make time for recharging and carving out my own personal space. But it also makes me realize, if these are the reasons that are stopping me from, say, reaching out to someone, or paying someone a visit, or giving someone a phone call, telling them I'm thinking about them and I'm praying about them, because I just forget to tell people that. Because I'm like, oh, they clearly know what I'm doing. But again, if I don't let them know, then how are they going to figure it out? And so, knowing why I hesitate on making that extra push to connect with someone, I'm aware of it, and so I just know that I'm doing it when I'm doing it, and then I can just stop it when I realize, like, Andrew, you've been in your own head for too long, or you've been doing all the work, but you're sitting in your office here doing it instead of being out there in the world doing it. And so, yeah, just checking in with myself and giving myself permission to get out and sort of take the risk of putting myself out there again. And if this is something that you're feeling or thinking about, own that, acknowledge that. A little bit of what I've referenced today is from an article, 14 Reasons Why You Enjoy Being by Yourself. I linked to it in the description of the YouTube video. If you're watching this on Facebook, I'll come back and tag it. Let me see if I can do that real quick. Let me copy this on Facebook so that the Facebook people can do it. I'm putting it in the comment section now. And then while I'm here, Facebook, I'm also going to link the other article that I'm sharing with the YouTube folks. And that is this article about my church doesn't know what to do anymore. This was not an article that I was planning on reflecting upon. This is just something that came across my feed this morning. But I read it and I really like it. And I think it's a great way to encapsulate a lot of the feelings of the clergy across the nation, and I would dare say across the globe. It was a lot easier when we had mandates from the bishop or from the CDC or the governor's office, what have you, to say this is why we're not meeting, or this is why we're not, or this is why we're following this protocol. But now everything has moved into it is strongly recommended, and then just leaving it all at the local level with your priest in charge or your rector or a vicar to make those individual decisions about how your church functions. And we still have some diocesan regulations, like we still can only consume wine through intinction. Excuse me. We still have to limit the number of voices that can be singing in the choir. But as far as the, masks are not required, but they are strongly recommended. Respecting social distance is not being done with like roping off certain pews and breaking out the tape measure, but it is, expected that people will just sort of naturally and obviously kind of sit apart from one another if they can. That we're not loitering too much. These are all kind of basically new cultural norms, and we're expecting people to follow those. The only problem is that if we ever, bring back masks fully or go online fully or whatever we do, every choice we make will upset someone, everyone. And regardless of on the spectrum of what kind of precautions you subscribe to, any change will not work. And so it's a real bear, especially to have this on the local level where it's the decision of me and the vestry on how we do this, and so it makes it hard. When it was just masks only or it was online only and no in-person stuff, and it was the bishop saying it, I'm like, great, just talk to the bishop. But I can't do that anymore. It's all on the local level. And we're all figuring out like how much of the pandemic stuff is going to just be permanently in place and how much of it is going to fade away in time. The last time the Spanish flu came around and it was the last real pandemic, at least here in America, what kinds of precautions, became permanent after that? I don't know. I'm not a medical historian, but like I think everything stopped. I think it all kind of fizzled out after a while. Um, I think there'll be generational uh, trends that people of the COVID generation will tend to want to wear masks, doing this or that, or wearing gloves to pump gas or whatever your thing might be, and our grandchildren will think we're hysterical or odd, um, and whatever. That's fine. Um, but I think things are gonna return to pretty much normal. Um, you know, I do worry about in church attendance because I think it's a lot easier for people to just stop coming back. I talked about this last week. I do think we're going to keep the online stuff. Frankly, it just works. And, full disclosure, I was planning on doing online stuff within the parish when I was a seminarian before COVID was even a word we knew. Um, and I think that this online church culture will continue. Um, and if that's something that you think is silly, just come to church in person. Don't watch the video. I think it's a better way to reach people where they are. This is the 21st century, and we were stuck back in the 1950s. I mean, I love the Mississippi Episcopalian. I think it's great. Don't print it. Stop printing the Mississippi Episcopalian. Just we don't need it. There are a few number of people who need print copies of things, but frankly, it's obsolete. Anyway, I think the pandemic has helped the church realize some obsolete things that just need to change, and forced people to update themselves and how they worship. But also, worship is not the only thing the church does. The church is community and fellowship and people coming together to worship God. And so I think that's the real struggle, is how do we come back to fellowship? Worship will take care of itself. Worship is going to be fine. It's the fellowship. It's that personal connection. And again, that's the issue, because for me, I'm finding it a lot nicer and tastier and more pleasant to entertain myself in my own head. And so making the conscious effort to go out and have fun with people and connect with them on, in a face-to-face way, is important, because we're social beings, and looking at people through a computer screen or your phone screen is just not how we're meant to be. And so we need those nonverbal communication cues and all that stuff. So my biggest push now is not for how we're going to redo, communion lines, or how we're going to do seating charts, or how we're going to do worship, whatever. That's all going to take care of itself, in my opinion. What I'm most focused on is how we're going to do a fellowship. How we're going to host a dinner or something, and then people will actually show up for it. Because again, it's a lot easier to just sit and enjoy the online viewing option. And while that is a definite need for people who have say a physical issue or some other means that a medical issue which prohibits them from coming in person, this is an accessibility feature, just in the same way that a ramp would be. I mean, frankly, this is a ability. No, I would almost say this is now a new ADA compliance, essentially. And yet I need people to also get off the couch and come to church and come to, a Wednesday night dinner or something. So anyway, that went off. I went off on a couple of tangents there, and I apologize for that. But yeah. Anyway, I've been thinking about where I am as far as connecting with people and my need to get out there and do it, because I've become really good and accustomed to enjoying my own company. And yet, anyway, that's my reflection for today. I hope you have a good day. If you want to talk about any of that, please let me know. Or even better, if you'd want to schedule a meeting with me, or go get coffee, or go get lunch, or talk about anything, please, 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 please let me know. You can find my contact information on the website, redeemerbrookhaven.com. You can even schedule meetings with me, or just give me a call and we'll find time. Whatever's easiest for you. So please keep me busy, keep me coming out to see and talk and enjoy some fellowship with you, some personal human connection. But yeah, that's my talk for today. Don't forget, we have tickets and things for the drawdown, and for the barbecue plates coming up on November 6th. If you want to find a way to help out, there are still certainly ways that you can help pull the pork so we can serve it up. You could help serve plates, to divvy up the plates. You could help take up tickets. You could help sell sodas and baked goods. There are all kinds of people you could help with the takedown, or you could help with the cleanup at the end of the thing. All of these are areas where we need your help. So please let me know, and I will point you to the right person to help coordinate that help. Also, don't forget, November 7th, the day after the picnic or the day after the barbecue, is our All Saints celebration. So we'll be doing a list of the faithful departed on that day. So for those who have passed away in the past calendar year, please let us know. All right. Thank you, and God bless.